Shalom and welcome to the next episode of Havaita. Today I am joined by the founder and CEO of Katera.io, Benny Gill. Benny, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, nice to be here. Shalom.
Shalom for Rehovot. I see your beautiful view, the Weizmann Institute behind you.
Yeah.
So let's start right there, and maybe you can share a little bit about your company and what you guys are focused on.
Okay, so I will start with myself. I have a bachelor degree in biology and business management from Tel Aviv University. After that, I went to Weizmann and did my master degree and PhD in biochemistry.
Wow.
And
Okay.
after that, I had a few adventures in startups and in big companies. But 2 years ago, I came back to Weizmann to look for my next adventure after October 7th. I found Kitera. Actually, I found the technology here in Weizmann in the Faculty of Agriculture. I found Kitera's technology in the Department for Agriculture in the Weizmann Institute, plant science actually. And I met Professor Tamir Klein, who developed a technology to measure carbon sequestration in trees with a sensor, which is
Okay, you have to
more
repeat
accurate.
that to measure what in trees?
Carbon sequestration, so the amount of CO2 that the tree absorbs from the air around it.
Okay, got it. The amount of CO2 that is okay. Why does that really matter for someone who is not very familiar with the trees? Even though my son is named Ilan and he is a tree, so I should know this.
Okay, so trees and plants in general are what's called the preliminary producers, meaning they don't eat food, they produce their own sugars and from that proteins and whatever they need, and they do it with the energy of the sun, water, and CO2. So as we grow and as the animal kingdom is utilizing oxygen in order to make energy from the food we eat, plants are utilizing CO2 to produce their sugars. And with that, they help, they are cleaning the air for other parts of the animal kingdom, and they actually considered to be the lungs of the planet.
Wow, I love that.
We pollute the air with CO2 and other greenhouse.
Okay, got it.
Sorry?
I said we pollute it and the trees then clean it.
Exactly.
Okay, got it, got it. Okay, so this technology was developed in the Weizmann Institute and the Department of Agriculture.
Department
And
of
what
Plant
exactly
Science.
the Department of Plant Science, okay. And so what exactly does this technology do? It increases the amount of CO2?
No, only measure
No,
it.
it only
The,
measures it.
the
Okay.
The academic use of the technology is to understand how plants react to their surrounding. So, depending on temperature, radiation, other climatic conditions, like even humidity and other stressors, it can change the amount of CO2 absorbed by the tree and also the allocation of the sugars and the carbon in the trees. So this is an academic research performed and executed by Professor Tamir Klein and his lab. We, as a commercial company, wanted to
Mhm.
commercialize this technology and use it for the carbon credit markets, or at least this was our initial intention, because there is a market that deals with the amount of carbon that is sequestered by trees. Meaning, if a company like oil company, flight company, or other company that pollute the air with greenhouse gases, they can try to reduce their pollution. But if they are not able to do that, in order to get to net zero pollution, they need to offset their emissions. And the way to do that is to plant
That's
trees or
amazing.
preserve forests from being deforested.
That is incredible. Okay. So is it true to say, for me who is definitely not very experienced in this area, the more trees that you have around your home or in your community, the healthier the air is?
100% true, and even more. In the urban surroundings, trees are also important to decrease the temperature because of the shade. They increase the quality of air. They are more pleasant to see rather than to watch desert or buildings or roads, and they decrease the temperature. And this is very important for urban areas.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Okay, so I want to just understand then. Okay, so you were measuring the CO2. So how is that applied to a business? Who are you selling this technology to?
Okay, so first of all, when I met Tamir and the rest of the team, we understood that the two things. One is that the carbon market is not stable enough to build a business only on this technology. And the second is that if we apply this sensor, we know much more than carbon, that it would be a waste to use it only for carbon. So we added a few sensors and we use our device, what we call a K-STEM device, as a multi-sensor device that measures the health status of the tree. So we can know if the tree is irrigated enough, if it suffers from abiotic or biotic stress, meaning lack of water or excess radiation, and also pests and insects and other diseases that can affect the tree. So by monitoring the physiological performance of the tree and the climatic condition around it, we can understand if the tree is healthy or not, or if it's performing as expected or not. So you asked about our clients. So anyone who grows a tree could be our
Orchard?
client. Of course,
Yes.
yeah, of course, that if you have a tree in your backyard, I'm not sure you'll be happy to install a sensor in the cost of a few $100s a year. But if you are a commercial grower, if you have a
That's
commercial
not,
forest,
yeah.
it's not so, yeah, it could be. It's also for us a bit problematic we don't want to be a B2C, at least not in the beginning. So
Okay, guys, so
for
this
us,
is not for the listeners here. This is for the real growers. Okay, got it. And they basically install the sensor on every single one of their trees, or is it enough to do a few
it could
trees?
be yeah, it's statistically representing the trees. It could be in a urban surrounding, so it may be relevant also to listeners of this podcast. If you want the trees in your surrounding to be healthier, you can approach your local municipality and ask for it.
Yeah, okay, got it. Because they want to be measuring, okay, the
Yeah,
health
we
of
want
the
to be
trees.
measuring the health, the irrigation status, and other criteria. And actually, we have a pilot with the Tel Aviv municipality where they're
Wow,
interested in two things. One is to continuously examine the health status of each tree, or especially trees that are important for the city because they are old or they are unique or something like that. And another option or another desire of the city hall is to monitor trees in construction sites
wow.
because of the light rain and all the renovation in Tel Aviv,
And the
trees are
dust.
dying.
Yes, yes. And I can't even imagine now. I'm just thinking about the war and the rocket hits that we did get and the shrapnel that's falling down. And especially like Beit Shemesh had several, like it's really crazy to see. But you can, obviously our first thought always is, let's just make sure everybody's okay. But then the infrastructure and the nature around us as well to be able to check how they're doing, after this kind of
Mhm.
damage as
Yeah,
well as like I'm just thinking of California, with or Yerushalayim when we had all those fires and California with all
mhm.
their fires. I
So
could
fire
really
is
see
is
where.
a different topic,
Okay,
and we can also monitor the flammability of the forest. So we can provide
wow,
preliminary
that's
information to
huge.
yeah, I know,
You
especially for
need to see
California and
this
places
all
like
of
that.
California. They need,
Yeah,
I mean, every year this happens. It's crazy. Wow, that's unbelievable. So you guys can basically install your sensors, and with your sensors, you'll be able to tell, okay, this is a high risk, in terms of the dryness and whatever it is, in order that may catch fire very quickly. These ones, will be a little bit more resistant as well as all the other elements as well, just the irrigation, how much water it needs, less water, more water. That's really amazing. Wow. And then I'm sure also for orchards and growers, this is going to be so crucial for them because obviously they need to produce as much fruit as they possibly can from that tree. And if the tree, they might not realize maybe they're giving it too much water. I can share with you just a personal story that we have this, and it's funny because I'm speaking to a lot of companies in Israel, which I'm obsessed with and I love in the agricultural space, because what we're bringing to the rest of the world is just beyond incredible, not just for people, but for nature and everything around us, which is so critical that Hashem gave us that we protect and take care of, and that we also, it's helping us as humans, like you said, it's cleaning our
mhm.
air that we're
Yeah.
polluting, and we need to take care of them. But it's just so interesting because we have many fruit trees. When we built this house, we my dream was when I made Aliyah, I'm going to have a lot of fruit trees. And every year we have certain trees that always fruit a ton. Okay, the oranges, the lemons, they're on fire. Like we have so many. But our poor mango tree, which is growing so high, it's definitely growing. I think I'm doing something wrong. I'm either giving it too much water or not giving it enough water because all the other trees are producing fruit and this one is not. So I would love to just, I know you don't want to do B2C, but I would love to even introduce you to gardeners that can, I don't know if they can do this, if it's possible, to give it to gardeners that can bring it to their clients' trees.
Yeah.
Is it possible
I
to
can
do
tell
that?
you that, yeah, first of all, yes. We had a conversation with Davy, which is a big company in the US that maintains trees for municipalities, commercial growers, and also private growers. And they were interested in some cases to utilize our sensor for these private homeowners. I can tell you about mango that it's a whole different story, and sometimes you have to let it suffer in order to flower. And this
Really?
is actually, yeah, yeah. And this is actually another issue that we met when we talked with the companies that produce trees seeds. And they need to also make the trees dehydrate in order to make them flower, to make them bloom.
Really? So that means I
And
should take some of the watering away because we put a whole thing around it.
there is a specific protocol for mango in Israel. You can read about
We
it
will talk after
in
because
a
my friend
specific
who lives around
period.
the corner has like tons of mangoes and I have none. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Okay. So I will talk to you after,
Exactly.
Benny. Your insight.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I
you
can tell you
you are
with the
officially,
companies.
Benny, a tree doctor. You are a tree doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, this is my PhD is in biochemistry. And
Oh, okay.
during my whole studies, I tried to avoid plant science because I worked as a gardener when I was young, and I wanted to
No
stay
way.
away from this field. But
Really? That's
the field
so
attracts me
interesting.
back.
Hashem had a different plan for you that brought you back
Yeah.
here. That is unbelievable. Okay, so just talking commercially now, are you available outside of Israel? Have you brought your sensors? Are you
Yeah.
selling to other countries?
Yeah. So we are in a stage of what we call considered as the paid pilots. So we had a few
Okay.
pilots in Israel which were for free, but now our technology is well established, and we started paid pilots in Colombia with the cacao trees. We have
Wow.
We have discussions with the state foresters in the US for forest management,
Wow, that's
and
incredible.
we have, and also for the pulp and paper industry. I cannot reveal the names of the companies that we in
Okay.
negotiation with,
That's
but
critical.
we can provide our system for better maintenance and cheaper operations or more cost-effective operations for pulp and paper, which is a tree that is treated as a crop because they have a fast round
Right.
rounds.
Oh, that's so interesting. How large are the sensors that you guys have
So
created?
the main sensor itself, it's 2 centimeters long, 4 millimeters in diameter, and it goes into
Wow.
the trunk of the tree.
Wow.
And it is connected to a device that is a little bit bigger, which can work also in off-grid locations. In, I would say, a contrast to other sensors for the orchards and the agriculture industry, our sensor is planned to be off-grid. So it has a solar panel and satellite communication so that it could operate in forests without any cellular reception and without having to maintain it with battery exchanges and things like that. So you can place it in the forest and come back after 5 or 7 years to replace it.
Wow. So the device that sits out that's connected to the sensor, is it just where is it placed?
It's hanged on the
It's
mounted
hanging on
on
the
the
tree.
trunk.
Wow. And if let's say you have a large orchard, do you need to install it on every tree? Or is the tree
No,
next to you also very similar to your health?
you can
Like,
sample. Yes, yes.
you can
You can
assume.
sample depending on the how unified your forest is or orchard or your field. So the more unified, you can use less sensors. And I can say that we also use satellite imagery to enrich our data. So if you have very large operations of tens of thousands of acres, you can just sample each plot and then use satellite imagery in much more precise way than other technologies, because our
Amazing.
competitors with satellite and drones can only see the canopy. We have what we call the ground truth. We have the physiological status of the tree in a continuous manner. So we use the satellite imagery only to fill the gaps, not as our primary resource of data.
Other computers are really just doing like an aerial view of the
Yeah,
tree, and they're not really getting the whole health, DNA
exactly.
basically of what's happened, the diagnostic
It's
of the
not the
tree,
tree
right?
physiology, and it's also,
Yeah.
we call it forensics, because when they observe an issue, when they see the issue, it's already too late to treat it. And we can detect the issues weeks before they are even visible. Even if they send someone to watch the tree and to inspect it, they will not see the problem, but we can detect it because of the change in the physiological behavior of the tree.
And you could detect things also like, is this an issue with insects or, disease that's being, carried on from one
So
tree to another?
yes, currently it's not all of the diseases, so we cannot guarantee that we detect every disease and all pests, but especially pests and diseases that affect the water transfer in the tree, we can detect. And in some cases, we can detect the tree respond to a threat or to a stress. So the tree will hold his water behavior back, or will decrease its productivity due to a stress. And this is the time where we can raise a red flag and a professional can inspect the tree.
So how does that work then? Let's say there's, again, I'm going back to the orchard concept here. Is there then a report that they are receiving? How do they identify which tree it is? How do you then transfer that information to them?
Okay, so our clients receive or get access to a dashboard that provide them with the constant data on their plantation or orchards or whatever, and they get the physiological status. So if everything is okay, you get like a green light and you can
Okay.
proceed. They also receive other parameters that can help them with the maintenance and the management, like trunk diameter. For example, in pulp and paper, it can optimize the harvest time, and in other, it can help maintain the thinning of the forest, which is now done in a very, I would say, traditional ways, which are not so relevant because of climate change. Climate change is actually the main reason for our existence as a company, because everyone asks, why now? Why is it relevant now? Because climate is changing and the methods of growing stay the same, or they stay the traditional way, and it's no longer relevant. So
It
we,
hasn't adapted.
yeah, exactly. It's hard to adapt, and the way to cope with that is satellite imagery and scouting. And these methods are either not accurate or expensive.
And they're also
Yeah,
too late, at that
yeah,
point.
exactly,
Yeah.
and too late with diseases,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's huge.
So we provide, as I said, a dashboard. We provide alerts on issues if they emerge. For example, I didn't mention, but we also have a fire sensor. So if the fire prevention didn't work, and there is a fire, we detect it and we alert on that. We alert on biotic and abiotic stress, as I said before. And in addition to that, if we are talking about orchards, you can modify the treatments according to the tree physiology. So, for example, if you change irrigation regime, or if you change a fertilization regime, you can monitor the physiological response of the tree and adapt. Before
Wow.
Kitera, you would have to wait to the end of the season to weigh your yield in order to know the effect. With our system, the effect is immediate. Within days, you can know the performance of
Yeah.
the tree.
I'm just thinking of, first of all, how much money you're going to be saving, but also producing, right? Because think about with the fire protection, with knowing that your crops or your trees have been infected before it's too late and you're able to then, produce more, the revenue and, just the amount that they'll be able to sell will, go up, but also the prevention of all the damage, the
Yeah.
cost of all these fires and all of this damage is astronomical. This is like for me, it's like a no-brainer. Like every farmer, grower, crop, should have
Yeah.
this technology. I think it's unbelievable.
Even if we look only on commercial forests, we researched this area and we found that more than $150 per hectare per year could be saved.
Wow, that's incredible.
on average,
Wow, that's
and it's a lot of
unbelievable.
money.
Well, you really need to get this in the hands of everyone across the, North America. I mean, all over where there's just this is global. I mean, this is going to just
Mhm.
help, everyone. And I love that this was developed in Rehovot, in the Weizmann Institute, and now you're taking it and commercializing it. It's incredible, Benny. And thank you so much for joining Habaitza. This was so fascinating. I wish you only the best of luck. I am definitely
Thank you.
going to keep following you and seeing your progress because what you're doing is going to help the world really in so many ways. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. This is the reason we are here, actually. This is the main motivation.
That's your mission.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
it. I could feel it. That's incredible.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
Benny. Okay.
Thank you.